Pak IP silahkan. Slide-nya IP yang membutuhkan translation langsung saja ke meja panitia.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting us. I would like to talk about the social security minimum standards of the ILO and SJSN, or National Social Security System here. Next, the ILO Social Security Minimum Standards was adopted in 1952, voted by the government representatives, workers' representatives, and employers' representatives. Indonesia hasn't ratified the Convention 102, so you do not have the obligation to follow what the convention says. In the region, Japan was only the country that ratified the convention, but more recently, Iraq ratified the convention as the second country in Asia. So several countries in ASEAN are currently aiming to ratify the Convention 102 because ILO has a campaign to increase the ratifications, the number of ratification by 2026. It has it's small, but it has 9 social protection, social security benefits, including medical care, sickness benefit, unemployment benefit, old age benefit, employment injury, child benefit, maternity, disability, and survivors. Survivors means orphans, widowers benefit. Next. Indonesia doesn't have 2 benefits out of 9. Including maternity benefit, jaminan istirahat hamil, and jaminan istirahat sakit, sickness benefit. So 2 benefits are missing in the national legislations. It has been regulated under the labor law number 13/2003, but it's provided by employers, but not by the government. So these 2 benefits are missing from the international labor standards perspective. Next. The common feature of social security benefits in Convention 102 has more or less 4 major features. 1, it needs to be periodical benefits. It cannot be lump sum. Benefits may have to be paid until the situation continues. Situation means if you are old, you must receive pension until you die, because the situation continues. You cannot become young suddenly. If you are disabled, you must receive employment injury benefits or disability pension benefits until you recover or until you die, whichever comes first. That's the rule. And benefits must be provided by the government, not by employers. The funds, the social security funds, can be contributory funds by workers' employers, and or also the state tax benefits. So in this case, maybe Bansos can be also part of this convention. Next. So let me just take 3 example maybe. JKK in Indonesia provides a total disability benefit for permanent disability, total disability, not a partial disability. If you are permanently disabled because of work injuries in the workplace, you get a lump sum of 70% of 80% month salary. That's a formula, plus 500,000 rupiah multiplied by 24 months. That's a formula in BPJS scheme. But the Convention 102 requires 50% of your previous wage must be paid until you die.
IP, I think you, right? Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay if we show the
Sure.
Bahasa in the screen and you what from your computer?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. So next. Next one is survivors.
Yeah.
Next. Yeah, after this.
Yeah.
Okay, probably I sent the wrong file. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I got. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the 40%, survivors benefits in under the JKK, it has a scholarship in 2018 that was added, right? The 2023, I forgot the year. And then there is a death grant, 60% of multiplied by 80 month of salary, plus 500,000 lump sum. But these are again the lump sum. So it's not conformity with Convention 102 because it requires 40% of your previous salary, not multiplied by, the number of months until you die, basically, or until you become dependent of someone again, or until you become adults in the case of children. So that's the rule. So these are some gaps, right? The next. Yeah, Estila had the hamil, right? The maternity benefit, manfaat maternity. The KAI recently increased the number of months maternity leave durations to 6 months with the condition for the approval of doctors, right? Up to 6 months. The Convention 102 was actually improved by Convention 183 for this particular benefits, and then it requires 14 weeks at least, and it need to be 67% of your wage must be paid. This is the formula. So it looks okay because Indonesia provides at least 3 months for everyone without condition, and then benefits is calculated 100% of wage according to the labor law. But the problem is the labor law, right? Because it needs to be paid by the state's government, but not by employers. That's the requirement. So there is no social security. That is the gap between Indonesia's legislation and the convention. Next, JHT, Jaminan Hari Tua. Why is it problematic from social security minimum standards perspectives? First, it's paid in lump sum, not periodic benefit. Second, it doesn't guarantee 40% of your previous wage. It depends on how much you save in a JHT account. So the formula is different. But the Convention 102 requires 40% of your previous earnings, average wage during your career, must be paid if you contribute for 30 years. This is the formula. But JHT doesn't have the formula, right? It's up to how much you save there, and the payment is a one-time lump sum. It doesn't pay until you die. Next. So I still have 12 minutes, Anis.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right. Go ahead.
So I want to talk about blueprint. Blueprint, I don't know bahasa Indonesia.
Yep.
Because we tend to focus on what we have today. What is the Indonesian legislation? But then we talk about, we pay too much contribution. We want more benefits. But let's put it aside for now. We've talked from international social security minimum standards perspectives. What's missing? If we fill the gap between Indonesia and the international social security minimum standards, what will be the future benefits? What will be the whole system? What will be the whole cost? So I would like to talk about it. And this is not my imagination. We collected the administrative data from BPJS Karena Kaljan, and we calculated working with the international actuary to calculate the cost. So I will show you. So this shows the benefits must be provided through life cycle from birth to death. JKN is there, okay. For medical care, okay, clear, tick. Older persons should receive a pension benefits from Jaminan pension if you work at the kantor or if you have employer. But the missing scheme is pension schemes for BPU. There is no scheme. Jaminan pension doesn't allow, and as I said, JHT doesn't meet the ILO's standards. So I put in a bracket, JHT, because it doesn't meet. So it can be voluntary, okay? But we need something called, we propose a Jaminan Pension National, for example, or you can have another formula, pension social or whatever. We need bottom layers to cover all citizens, just like a Jaminan Kesehatan Nasional. We need something like a Jaminan Pension Nasional, because these are usually the top priorities of any countries in the world. For children, if his parents die, fathers died in the workplace, okay, he or she should receive periodic income through JKK. If the parents die outside the workplace, then Jaminan Pension will provide a survivor's benefit, a regular income. That it's there. But what about the BPU? If they are covered by Jaminan Pension Nasional, the new one, they can receive regular income every month from Jaminan Pension Nasional until they graduate university, for example. And next, of course, we have a PKH, yeah, right. If you're poor, that's additional one. If you're poor and you are not eligible for other schemes, then you are receiving it from PKH. Again, we need a new scheme, JIH, that is Jaminan I forgot, maternity.
Boleh mundur satu? Ya.
No, next, Anis, that's correct.
Oke. Maju satu.
Yeah, JIH, that's maternity. Yeah, we need scheme baru. And yeah, istirahat, hamil, istirahat, sakit. When you take sick leave, employers are paying your salary, but this is usually paid by the government through contributory fund. This is the JIS, yeah, according to convention. Unemployment benefits is, yes, we have a JKP, good, but the scheme design slightly need to be improved, but I don't touch on it. Persons with disabilities, if they get become disabled because of work injuries or work-related disease, JKK should provide a regular income, not a lump sum. Again, it needs to be periodic until you die or until you recover. So scheme design need to be changed, right? If the injuries, disability is caused outside the workplace, Jaminan Pension or Jaminan Pension Nasional for BPU or housewife husbands to fill the gap. And if you don't have any coverage from either scheme, JKK, JP, or Jaminan Pension Nasional, then something like PKH could provide support. This is usually the formula. But now the PKH only target the poor people using a proxy means test. So there may be the gap. But some countries apply this to fill the gap. If you are not eligible for JKK, JP, Jaminan Pension Nasional, then the state budget come to help. Then fill the gap. So theoretically, zero gap, because the criteria is not income, but the coverage. If you don't have a coverage from JAMSOS, the states cover the disability benefit. For example, person disability by birth, they are not a member of a JKK, JP, Jaminan Pension Nasional because they don't contribute, because they are already disabled when they are born. So they need support, because it's not because they are poor. They need support because they are not a member of these three existing JAMSOS scheme. So this is the logic in the other countries that also follow the Convention 102. Widowers, orphans, yes, again, JKK, Jaminan Pension usually provide, and that is a requirement. Next. Anis, I have 6 minutes. Manfaat, benefits. We don't have a LTC, long-term care insurance, but RPJP aims to it. Jaminan Pension provide 30%, but Timbul said 8% need to be collected, right? Okay. Okay, that's another issue. Jaminan Pension National, in our recommendations, it should guarantee to pay every month 1 million rupiah to every citizens in Indonesia above 65 years old. That's a Jaminan Pension National we are talking about. If you work in a company, you get the top up 30% from Jaminan Pension. Children, if his parents die and then they need to support, 40% of previous wage of the parents will be paid from JKK. The Jaminan Pension provides you 30% according to the current formula. A Jaminan Pension National can support 1 million rupiah for orphans if we have these schemes. Next. And JIH, JIS have these formula 67% for 14 weeks, JIH, JIS 45% up to 26 weeks of sick leave. And JKP, okay, let's keep it as it is. And JKK for disability benefits, also 50% of wage should be paid. And Jaminan Pension, let's keep the formula, 30%. And Jaminan Pension can provide support at the level of 1 million if they become persons with disability during working age. So the pension, disability pension can be received before you retire because of aging. That's the beauty or the advantage of having a pension. Next. Move to 15. Hey, no, not 15, sorry. The finance. Next. Yeah. So this is our actuarial calculations based on the real data of BPJS Kemenko with a lot of assumptions. So this is just one indication. If you see at the bottom, highlighted ones in the bracket, this is the amount that Indonesian people are currently paying to BPJS in total. Employers are currently paying somewhere between 10 to 12%, depending on the size of companies, because of JKK's formula. Workers are currently paying 4%. This is the PU, wage workers in the company. And the governments are currently paying about 160 to 200 trillion rupiah for JKN and PKH, KIP, and then KIP, and some other major big schemes, except the Makan Gratis program, right? And then in total, the Bansos budget is about 500 trillion, if I understand correctly, before efficiency, at least. In our proposal, in our calculations, if Indonesia comply with all the benefits I presented in the previous slides, if we do it today, we don't think there will be a much difference in the contribution rate. You see at the bottom right, 14% to 16%. That will be our calculated amount of contribution at the end. If Indonesia adopt this convention level, right? So what Indonesian people are currently paying can probably sufficiently finance the convention, the Social Security minimum standards benefits, all of them. That is our calculation and recommendations.
Ipe, can you repeat just to make sure that everyone understand?
I have 1 minute.
Oh, yeah. No, I give you now. No. Can you repeat your last part? Because just to make sure that everyone understand. Because I think it's important.
Okay. So at the bottom in the bracket, this is how much Indonesian people and the governments are paying. And above the bracket, you see another figure, right? This is the amount of contribution rate, ULAN, we calculated, that can sufficiently finance all the JAMSO schemes according to Convention 102. So that means the minimum standards. But you may notice we removed the contribution rate from JHT. We removed the contribution rate from JKM because these are not in line with Convention 102. So we removed it from mandatory scheme, but it can remain as a voluntary. If you work in a good company, they may want to top up JHT. If you want to have a better pension savings, you want to top up, that's fine.
Yeah.
But we removed it because to maintain the level of contribution as we pay today.
Yeah.
So that workers, the employers, and the government can possibly agree on. Right. Very last slide. I was talking about the PU only. This is for BPU. Last slide. BPU. This
Yeah.
one. BPU. You're talking about JKN reform, so I don't know the new updates. So BPU will have a JKN, okay. We put it bracket in for JKK. It is mandatory by regulation, but de facto it's voluntary because no enforcement. So I just put it in a bracket. We need to add a Jaminan Pension National in our view. So if we collect the additional contribution for this new scheme, we calculated it's 300,000 rupiah per month for everyone, BPU. In total, 340 to 450,000 rupiah, depending on the JKN contribution rate, will be sufficient to promise good coverage for all citizens in Indonesia. This is the case for BPU. And thank you very much for listening. So my summary message is that it's just a matter of reformulating the whole system and restructure the existing schemes and then, reallocating existing ULAN. That can possibly create more, effective schemes according to the Convention 102. But that's the choice of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kita kasih aplaus untuk Pak IP dan Bang Timbul ya yang sudah ya karena tadi saya motong 2 menit dari dia. Jadi tadi kita sudah mendengarkan ya satu dari sudut pandangnya penerima manfaat ya, kita semua Bang Timbul mewakili penerima manfaat, kemudian Pak IP membawa cermin dari International Labor Standard compare dengan di Indonesia. IP, do you have any? I give you 1 minute to just cap.
Okay, terima kasih for comments. 3 points. When in Bahasa Indonesia, when we say pension, it's retirement, right? In the international standards, when we say pension, it has 3 benefits. 1, old age benefit. 2, disability benefit. 3, survivor's benefit. These come together with one pension scheme usually. So if we don't have a pension for BPU, it means we are missing 3, not only 1. That's my point. Okay, and then also the how do you call it? Bukan non-workers. There are 30 million housewives in this country, and they are not covered by. They are not BPU, PU, so they are not covered by BPJS by definition. But they are becoming old. They may become disabled. They may become widows. They are not covered because pension not there. That's first point. Second point, when we discuss the policy dialogues, it's give and take. It's not the give and give. If we need higher manfaat, we need to pay more yulan. We cannot negotiate. We need more manfaat, but we don't want to pay more yulan. So we need to find a place where we feel comfortable. We pay this much, but we get this much. So it's a give and take. For example, JHT, JKM, Pesangon, and also Tapera, Dana Pension. We have many schemes, but none of these benefits are in line with the Convention 102. For example, it's okay. Indonesia decides to keep all of them. That means you need to pay for these schemes.
Yeah.
Your employers need to pay for these schemes. But the minimum standards convention provide the guidance. You probably forget about this, or you convert this to more periodic pension. Last but not least, third point, JKP provides a 60%. Convention 102 requires 45%. So it's actually higher. That's
Yeah.
fine. That means you are paying extra. Before, we are having, for example, manfaat, maternity benefit, for example. So in general, in the Indonesia social security system, we have more advanced scheme design, additional benefits before we have minimum standards.
I see.
But it means you are already paying for higher manfaat before you are creating a basic benefit. So it's a give and take. So restructuring this system can probably sufficiently finance the minimum standards.
Yeah. Thank you, Ipe.